2. All right, I would like to call this special meeting of the Hinckley Township Board of Trustees to order on Monday, February 12, 2024 at 6:27 p.m. for the purpose of holding a general work session. Call the roll. Asherle?
Here.
Engelmann?
Here.
Sweattick here. Hey, Trustee Asherle.
Okay. Couple things on my list. I wanted to talk to you both about the Memorial Day parade because it's time to start planning that. I would like to see it a little bit more veteran focused than what it has been in the past. And I'm not sure what that looks like, if that involves, taking out an ad in the Hinckley Record, or just maybe working with the vet group to see if there's any vets that would be interested in participating in the parade. We can set it up so that, the people who can't walk can ride in a float or on a trailer, and other vets can walk. But I would like to see it, since it is more of a solemn event, more veteran focused. So wanted to see your thoughts on that. See if you would be open to possibly doing an ad in the Hinckley Record again, like we did for the Christmas decorating lights, or just try working it through the Hinckley Vet Group. And then also to see if either of you have a suggestion or thoughts on a speaker.
I definitely like the idea of getting that's more involved. I think, in all honesty, that should be the focus of that day, period. I mean, I like that idea. I'd like to see if we could get the veterans out there. However, like, if they have mobility issues or whatever, maybe we have something to transport them with, so they can be part of the parade as well. If you want, I appreciate you spearheading this and taking it on. If you want to reach out to the veterans admin first and see what you get out of them.
Okay.
And then maybe talk with them and decide after that if you want to also place an ad. Maybe
Okay.
that's a better initial approach. We got some time yet.
Yeah, we have some time. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we talked about it today.
Okay.
So I can reach out to the vets group and see if they can just kind of gauge interest with it. And then also thoughts on a speaker. Sorry, Cindy, did you have anything that you wanted to add also?
No, so Commissioner Harrison, Aaron did a wonderful speech last year.
He did.
It was right on point for what Memorial Day was about. And it would be nice to have something comparable, in that vein, so that we really remember what Memorial Day is about. And or if he was, this is kind of a crazy idea, but if he was willing to give us his speech, and we could have a veteran read that speech if we could not find a speaker. Just because I thought he did a very
he was a very, very good speaker last year.
Those don't matter.
Yeah, those don't matter.
I don't know that he wouldn't do it again if we asked him. I mean,
that would even be better. Yeah.
Would you be comfortable reaching out to him? You probably
I know
him a little bit better.
I know someone he works with. So.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't want to go too far, out with this also, but then there were also conversations, I think last year, possibly the year before, where we talked about maybe doing a secondary parade that is more celebratory, like 4th of July, something where that is something that, you know, people do, and we obviously have a lot of time for that. But wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that because it goes into the next thing that I wanted to talk about also. And that is Sergeant Sherrill had asked me about movie nights in Bronzers Park. In the past, we've had a movie night once a summer because the police association actually purchased the equipment last year that has made it now much more affordable that we can do more than one. So last year we had, you know, we opened it up, see if anybody wanted to sponsor it aside from the township. And there were a couple of different people that reached out to me that were interested in sponsoring. So if we wanted to do something like maybe 2 movie nights this year and see how that goes, you know, it's still kind of growing in popularity. And a lot of other neighboring cities are starting to do it now also. Brunswick did it. I think Royalton did it. Medina's been doing it for many years with the Cool Beans Cafe, and theirs are huge events. But I was wondering if we wanted to do that kind of a 4th of July parade, would we want to kind of make a day of it? Or is that too far out to do a parade in the morning and then a movie night at night?
I'd rather split them up, and here's the reason why, because I think it would be nice, maybe we could organize some kind of a cookout down in the park or something during the day. Because I think most people get together and go somewhere that evening to possibly watch fireworks.
Oh, you're right. That's an excellent point. Yeah, nobody wants to watch a movie on 4th of July. Okay. That's why there's 3 of us. So it's a very good point. I don't know what I was thinking, but I actually really like that idea of if we were to do like a parade, do like hot dogs.
It'd be nice to have it like that. Culminate over here and just, you know, yeah, like I said, you know, maybe have a cookout and maybe some kind of games for the kids and down in the park that we could get some folks involved with, and nice.
I like that.
Be a nice kind of a party atmosphere, you know, instead of
instead of so solemn. Okay. So then if we
not to try and take away from Memorial Day has a specific purpose, and that's not why we're there on that day. We're there to
honor,
to respect these people who have given so much. And that's why I like separating the two. I think it would be an awesome idea.
Okay. I like it. So back to the movie night, are we open to 2, but maybe maybe we have it right when the kids are going back to school in August, maybe have one at the beginning of June when they're getting out of school for the summer. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
You might catch them before they start going away on vacations and stuff.
Okay.
Early June.
All right. Then I did speak with the prosecutor regarding, you know, the fact that we wanted to have the special meeting prior to this to approve the trustees corner. You know, I was originally thinking it could just be done in work session, that we could approve it. And he said, no, he's like, if you guys are, it's an act, you know, you're approving to have something printed like that. He said it should be in a special meeting. And in the spirit of trying to reduce the number of special meetings, he suggested maybe rescinding the motion that was made last year, having the approval of the board before anything is printed in the Hinckley Record or the newsletter. That's a motion that we would have to rescind. So obviously we cannot do that now. I'm putting this out there for both of you to think about. If you're not comfortable doing that yet, since we did just get this started again, if we want to do this for, you know, a couple more months and see how it goes, or if you would be comfortable rescinding the motion at the next meeting and then, oh, you won't be at the next meeting. Okay.
So, I mean, the 2 of you can do it all.
Well, or it can wait until the March meeting also, but I just wanted to know where you both are at with that. You know, we talked on the phone for quite a bit about it, and he said, you know, everything, you know, kind of like a time and a purpose for everything, and you know, maybe this is something that we want to look at trying a little bit differently and
I'm open.
not needing the approval.
I'm open to that.
I will put it on my agenda for the first meeting in March, so we can discuss it, because we would have to rescind it and vote on it. And I am not taking it lightly. So that's why I want to make sure that everybody has the same comfort level with it. And I completely understand if we want to hold off on that also. And then I wanted to discuss, Jack, you had forwarded us.
If we just back up 1 second and just maybe kind of create some guidelines for what can go in there, and then, you know, as long as we're following those, then we don't have to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
What can and can't go into there,
Okay.
Well, that's a good idea.
you know?
And I
You know what I'm
think we
saying?
kind of did that when we talked about bringing it back, that we said it's a recap. It is a factual recap of the meetings, what happened, because I think that people feel more connected when they're able to read that. This is information coming to the residents directly from the Board of Trustees. And that's why I like having the trustees corner be a recap of what's going on in these meetings, what was discussed. They don't always get it right.
We can obviously say a topic of discussion.
Mhm.
I don't know that we want to put anything outside of a topic of discussion before minutes are approved to say that, you know, that it's accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's something that we all have to agree on.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but yeah, maybe we worked out some guidelines and figure it out from there. But I think that's a good way to go.
Okay. Then Jack, you had sent us the forward from Rocky about the upgrade for the signs in the center of town, which was $5,000. He was here last week. I don't know if you've had a chance to review the meeting that we had last week, but I asked him if we were to upgrade that for the $5,000, that was for total, not per sign. And he did say that sooner is better than later.
Right.
So if we are going to want to do that, we would be better off making a motion and letting him know sooner. So because you're not going to be at the next meeting, and you will, I just wanted to see, and I don't even know if you guys are ready to discuss this because we obviously don't have agendas for these meetings, but if you guys wanted to discuss your thoughts.
Well, I think the concept was to have lighting that looked more, how should I say, representative of like an old
area.
town center character. And so to me, that's a great goal. And, you know, rather than having that steel look, steel cold look. So I think it's a great idea.
And I think Martha had actually mentioned, which was a great suggestion, putting it on our wish list. You know, that would be something that we can use the money for that. And that's something that the entire township could benefit from.
And I think it's good value, you know, for what we would get out of them for that, as opposed to just like you said, having something very cold. It would be much more inviting to and more in character with what we have here. So I would be supportive of that.
Okay. So it sounds like we're all in favor of it. So we can
take it to the next meeting.
Take it to the next meeting and vote on it. Okay. And then I would like to move to adjourn to executive session to discuss discipline of a township employee in the zoning department.
Second.
At 6:41.
I would just wait till the end, because if you
Oh, you
have
wanna
some
do
other,
this?
yeah.
Okay. Second by Engelmann, we'll call the roll. Asherle.
Yes.
Engelmann,
Yes.
Sweattick, yes.
And that's all that I have on my list.
Trustee Engelmann.
So a couple things. One is the cemetery, looking at where the roadway is that's going to be repaved. There is a tree that's pretty close to the boundary on the west end of the cemetery, right along the fence from the neighboring property. That's getting older, bigger, and so it creates a couple of issues. One, for some of the hearse, they have a difficult time turning to, you know, avoid hitting that tree, and so they end up going over the curbs. Same thing with our
This is where?
oh, I'm sorry, the Maple Hill
Maple.
Cemetery, yeah. And same thing with our service department, some of their bigger equipment. So there's been a request to see if we can cut down that tree. And I don't, you know, to allow for a better turn radius for these larger vehicles. I don't know how you would feel about cutting down a tree, but I think if we were to do it, this would be the time to do it, because you're gonna repave the ground, the roots, you know, are, you know, it's kind of the trees like growing, you can see the roots are like growing around it. It's pretty much on the boundary. I mean, I would want to visit with the neighbor to the west to be certain there's no, you know, boundary issues there. But I don't know how you'd feel about, you know, cutting down a tree so that the vehicles had better access. I think that was maybe part, you know, because part of the other discussions were widening the turning radiuses, but then those are curbed, and then they might cut into existing plots. And so, you know, we're not taking away any plots with any of the repaving like was talked about last year. So this would maybe provide an alternative to allow for at least those turns to take place, because it's a 90-degree, it's sharp.
So with the upcoming paving, we can't modify that radius, or is that?
No, it's pretty fixed, because
okay.
the road is right, you know, there's only like a couple of feet from the boundary, the west property boundaries. And it's that road in the center that goes east-west, you know, so you come in, you come around, and you're gonna angle right, and it's a tight right angle.
How big is the tree?
How big is it? I don't know, measure.
But is it like a big old tree, or?
Oh, well, you know, I would say it was probably planted 30 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, it's, you know, when it was planted, it was a skinny little thing, and its diameter is probably a foot.
Okay.
So maybe you want to take a ride up there and just look at it yourself.
I was just thinking I'll drive up there.
And just take a look and see what you think.
Okay.
But I wanted to put that out there for consideration. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of cutting down trees. Right. It's only going to get bigger, and eventually it's going to touch up to the fence that is on the property to the west. So,
is that fence the township fence, by the way? Or is that the property owner?
I think that's the property owner. Okay. Because it's sitting on the, from best I can tell, that side of the boundary markers. You know, there's two of them.
Okay. I was just curious, because just thinking about, you know, that request from December, thinking about, one of the requests was putting a fence up, and I just thought, I don't know, Sensitive Cemetery, and then I saw that one, I'm like, I don't think that's the township fence,
No,
but I just wanted
yeah,
to verify.
if it is, it's sitting on, it's not sitting on township property. So
Okay.
that I would be comfortable saying it's not on property.
Okay.
Second is, so a couple weeks ago, our admin assistant asked me about garden club, if I wanted to meet with the garden club person, because they had met with prior trustee last year. Some proposal about taking over community garden. I said, well, if there's an interest to make some proposal, then I would rather that person come in and present it to all three trustees at a trustee meeting when all three of us are here, so we can all hear the same thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I specifically said, couldn't really do it until March, because that's for certain all three would be here. So then all of a sudden I got a request for that person to come in at the next meeting to present. And like, they didn't even seem to have a plan together at the time. I had been speaking with our administrative assistant. So certainly that person can always come in and speak at, public comment. But if I wanted to put her on as a guest speaker to hear what she had to say, then I would want to do it when all three of us are here.
Sure.
And I know that one of our administrative assistants they're responsible for administrating the garden club, the community garden. So, so I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, I'd be happy to have them come in at the March meeting and make a presentation so we can hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
do you want to reach out to her? Because I saw that email had 2 requests in it.
Right.
So,
well, I can just have the admin reach out to that person and state,
okay.
I'll put them on the March agenda, and they can come in, or that way they can come in early, be the first speaker, and they don't have to hang around.
Okay.
To hear what they have to say, but so
I
wanted to
have no objection.
I will also have someone on the agenda that day that I would like to have go first so that they can get out. So it shouldn't be a long one. It's the fellow from Lit Fiber wants to come to the township and talk about, there's some stuff going on right now that might make that push that process forward in getting fiber into Hinkley Township.
Oh,
and I think that's something that a lot of folks are very interested in. So.
Definitely, personally, yeah.
Okay, so he'll be on there too, and so we'll have them as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I also didn't know if you had an opportunity to look at some of that language regarding regulating adult cannabis operators, growers, dispensaries, and in terms of moving forward with a resolution or not. But
I think it's something they should look at, and look at what some of the other townships are doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And get a sound plan together before, not just jump into it, look at what our abilities are as the township to create something that regulates that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there's OTA township have some sample resolutions in terms of what that would look like. Maybe I'll get you copies of that so you can take a look at, and certainly review it with the prosecutor's office.
Mm-hmm. I would just want to see it remain consistent, since right now it is not allowed for medical.
Right.
I just want to ensure that it's consistent for both. And that kind of is my concern also, is it's something that the zoning was just discussing. Well, they've been discussing it a lot in the last couple of years, like with the Airbnbs. It's how do you enforce it? How would you regulate it and enforce it? to
Oh, you mean-
prohibit it?
It's prohibited. Well, obviously, if it's clearly visible, then it's like a lot of things here in the township. There's people doing things
don't-
that maybe shouldn't be doing things.
Well,
But
I don't, from what I've seen, I don't think you can stop an individual. I think it's more relative to the sale
it's,
and
yeah, it's
dispensaries, so to speak.
not personal. You're allowed to grow like,
Yeah.
I forget what it is, 6 plants per adult, maximum 12 plants per household, or something like that. But it relates, pardon?
Farming it.
It relates to farming it, processing it, and dispensing. So there's 3 components. And so you can prohibit any or all. You can limit. You can say there can only be one of these or one of those. Or you can do nothing, and once somebody does either start farming it, processing it, or dispensing it, there's a small window of opportunity where you can say, we're going to shut this down, like 90 days. But after that, once one is in business, then, you know, you no longer have an opportunity to regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you can always put in a regulation, and at some point down the road, if it makes sense to change it, you can change it. There's only going to be so many licenses for, you know, dispensing in the whole state of Ohio. And so that may foreclose opportunities, but it's, again, you know, how do you want to define for the community whether we're going to allow this or not?
Mm-hmm.
And zoning commission did bring it up in their last meeting as to whether they should be looking at it. But right now, the way the law is structured, it's for the boards of trustees to pass resolutions, whether they're going to allow it or prohibit it or limit it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they have all the legal stuff figured out totally yet down in Columbus, so.
Well, they did in December. You know, the House, I think, had initiated a bill with some changes, but the Senate never acted on it. So issue 2, as it was passed, still now is law, unless they come back and change stuff. But they may also accelerate it. So like, just logistically, it wouldn't be till like 3rd quarter before the first licenses would be issued. But they, you know, down in Columbus, they may create some legislation that accelerates that and requires licenses to be available, you know, at the end of Q1 or something. So if they do accelerate it, then it becomes more incumbent for the township to decide which way it wants to go.
Okay.
So. And I think that's all I have.
Going back to that email where you brought up the garden club,
Right.
Do we want to discuss the other question in
Sure.
the email as well?
Yeah, the other question was, so the Citizen of the Year award was taken over by Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's a request that the presentation of the award be made at a trustee meeting. But I thought it was pretty clear. I went back and looked at last year's meetings video, and it says it's a chamber event. So I don't know if the township hosts events, other organizations presenting their awards at trustee meetings or not, but I think, you know.
I would agree with that because there was no discussion about it last year. I wanted to discuss it, but it was very clearly stated that it was moving over to the chamber. It was going to be a chamber event. And I'll be just very honest that, you know, something that I kind of am concerned with is the transparency with it. I requested last year to know who's on the committee. and I was not answered. So to me, it has a lot to do with, I don't want to say credibility of the award, but, you know, if it's presented at a township meeting, the chamber doesn't present, any other awards. Nobody presents any other awards. The Boy Scouts, who, you know, are involved in a lot of community events, they do not do awards at township meetings. So I would say if it's a chamber event, a chamber award, that would be my thought on it. It should be at a chamber meeting. I'm sure the Hinckley Record will still do the article on it. It's always the cover of the Record in May, which most people don't watch the trustee meetings anyways. I mean, there's nobody on right now, so that would be my thought on it.
I just don't know why they wouldn't want to do it on their own if it's their event. I think it would be good for all those folks to gather together at their own venue and you know, then they can, you know, continue on or whatnot. If we do it here, they're just hand the award and move on, you know.
Right.
So.
Right. I'm a member of chamber, and unfortunately I missed the last meeting where apparently they talked about this. But exactly, I mean, I would think that, I mean, we don't even know the criteria for the award, you know, so it's a chamber award, chamber committee, chamber criteria. There's probably a bigger audience at the chamber meetings than
that's what I would
think. Here.
Exactly.
So.
Well, yeah, I would agree, and I just feel like it kind of got people had concerns with it last year. So if it's going to be the chamber award, I think it should just be a chamber event. The meeting, I would agree.
Well, when you go to your next meeting, maybe you say, look, is there any reason that it can't be that way? Something like that, okay? Yeah. Right.
You know, that, not to get too far off topic here, but, you know, in the past, we've always had, I don't think it was an official liaison to the chamber, but Melissa was, you know, a member of the chamber and on the board. So now since you're on the board and a member of the chamber, how do you feel about being that, you know, unofficial liaison between the chamber? And so the communication can, you know, you're the source of communication. And if they are asking something, I think that in the past, it's always been they come to a meeting, you know, Mark.
Well, that's, so, you know, you bring up a good point. So in the past, if there was a trustee liaison, that trustee always would bring up the topic. Me personally, like for instance, the garden club person, I mean, I don't know the person personally. I would like to see the person come to a meeting. Because if people, you know, there could be other people in the audience that have questions. You just kind of want to hear from the person directly as opposed to having a messenger. I don't think that that's a good thing to do because, you know, it's kind of a dual role, and at the same time you have questions. And if you have questions as a liaison, you know, it'll be difficult for me to answer because I'm not an officer of that organization.
Right.
So I would rather, you know, if an organization has a request, that come and talk about it.
Yeah, that would be preferred.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Mark came for the Christmas trees, I mean, we all had questions. So that was why it was really important for him to come to the meeting. You know, we just asked questions regarding the Citizen of the Year, and there's. Okay.
Right,
so
fair enough.
So I'd be more than happy to share that at the next chamber meeting, that
Wonderful.
If somebody, number one, I'll share the sentiment about, doing it at one of their meetings.
Mhm.
But then, if there's a request for anything, as the Christmas tree is a great example,
Mhm.
then, come to a trustee meeting.
Mhm.
You don't have to be on the agenda. You can come in at the end, public comment.
Mhm. Okay.
Very good. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I do not have anything this evening. Chief, do you have something for us, or you just popped in?
We have Chief Grossenbach is also in the audience, and you can't hear him because he's not on camera over there right now.
So you have to come
So,
and scooch in, get on the mic if you want to talk.
Scoot up to the front table.
Speak very loudly.
It can be done.
do you have anything other than,
No, just.
so
the
move
items.
to adjourn to executive
Yes.
session to discuss, employment
Yeah.
of a public employee, township employee for the fire department.
Second.
Discuss the employment.
Of a township
Is that the only department we're discussing?
employee, fire department. And zoning department.
Well,
Zoning
this
department.
will be a separate one. We'll come out. Adjourn that one, and then go back in.
I don't have to.
Oh, you have to-
No, we have
You
this,
gotta
we
come
have
up
this, we already have a motion for the first. At the end.
Right.
Was there a second?
I seconded.
Roll, Asherle,
Yes.
Engelmann,
Yes.
Swedek, yes. Executive session at 7:04 PM.
7:04 PM. Okay, I would move to return from executive session at 7:33 PM. With the discussion, no decision made with the fire department.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Engelmann, call the roll, Asherle,
Yes.
Engelmann,
Yes.
Sweattick, yes.
And
And now we will go back into executive session on the first motion to
discuss discipline of a public employee.
discuss discipline of a public
In the
employee
zoning
at
department,
7:33 PM.
7:33 PM. Okay. Back.
Back?
All right, move to adjourn from executive session at 7:56 PM with no decision made.
Second.
The time on that was
7:56. Feels like 9:30. It's like bedtime.
seconded by Engelmann. I will call the roll. Asherle.
Yes.
Engelmann.
Yes.
Sweattick, yes. And with that, I will move to adjourn at 7:57.
Second.
Seconded by Asherle. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies.